All right, hello everyone. My name is Ian and you're watching Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you're new here and you like this kind of content, I hope you'll consider subscribing. So I've got a pretty simple, but I hope useful and informative video for you today. I'm simply going to talk about what accessories and parts that I've chosen to use on my personal BMW R1250GS Adventure. This is a bike that I've had since about the middle of last year after selling my GS Adventure and really missing it. So I ended up finding this bike pre-owned with some of the stuff already on it. And it was a great deal, well maintained, very clean. So I ended up picking it up. I am actually going to be selling it soon, sadly. But the only reason I'm doing that is so that I can purchase a different bike for making videos with on this channel. So something new to put in a video, something new to review long term. Now, quick disclaimer, I would appreciate if when you're shopping for parts and riding gear, if you'd use my affiliate links below and all my video descriptions and comments and on my YouTube homepage, because it doesn't cost you anything and it's an amazing way to help support independent motorcycle journalism continuing on this channel. Also, one more disclaimer, some of the parts that I'm showing I got free of charge. Some of the parts I'm showing I got a discount and some I paid full price for. It's just a mix, but I just wanted to give you that disclaimer up front. All right, so let's start with the luggage that I've been using on this bike. So I have all different sorts of luggage systems in the garage that different companies have sent me to test, so I'm lucky to do that. So right now what you're seeing are the Moto backcountry 35-liter pannier kit. I do have an in-depth review on these if you want to check that out. But I've also used and still use occasionally the Lone Rider panniers, which are also very good. I also have some panniers, some SW Motec. Anyway, I have a lot of different stuff that I use, but I really do like these Moto bags. They're going to last you your whole life. They're such high quality. In terms of tank bags, well, let me cover the handlebar bag first. So I've got the Lone Rider handlebar bag on this bike, and I really have come to appreciate that bag just for holding things. Like I keep a multi-tool in there, I keep my eye drops, I keep my chapstick, I keep my earplugs, I keep like some visor cleaner for my helmet. Really handy place. And I'm finding that I like using that and then not running a tank bag at all. Tank bags really get in my way, especially when I'm standing up off-road, and I don't like the straps going across the tank. So I'm kind of getting away from tank bags as I go on in my years here. But I do have, I've got the Moto Nomax tank bag, which I like on this bike. For touring, you can organize everything in there. And then I've also got the Lone Rider waterproof tank bag. It fits really well on this bike and looks really nice. And I'll put some photos and video of that here because I used that on one of my last trips. So I do like that. In terms of a rear duffel bag for holding more, I've got a few options. I've got a Moto backcountry duffel, which is the side loading duffel. I've got a Moto Scout duffel, a smaller top loading bag. I've also got a Lone Rider duffel bag, which I really like. So a lot of different options there. So I think that about covers the luggage. Why don't we jump in and talk about some bike protection? So on a GS, it's extremely important that you protect, especially your engine, underneath the engine, but also the engine cases, the boxer's engine sticking out on the side. So in order to do that, I'm really a fan of these Touratech crash bars. They look factory OEM, they integrate really well to the bike. They seem to be very strong. There may be stronger ones on the market. I've heard the Alt-Rider bars are some of the strongest ones out there. But actually these came on the bike when I purchased it and I've been super happy with them. I also have the Machine Art Moto cylinder head covers on this bike. The reason you need that is because when you drop a GS over or it goes in the rocks or the gravel or whatever, even with crash bars, you can still put a hole in your engine case from rocks and dirt. So you need to have both, unfortunately, and it does get a little pricey when you buy all that stuff. Underneath the engine, I've got what I consider probably there's two amazing skid plates I think for the GS's. Black Dog makes an amazing skid plate and Alt-Rider makes an amazing skid plate. I have the Alt-Rider skid plate on this bike. They sent it out to me. Actually, I think I got it at a discount, but anyway, I really like the Alt-Rider skid plate. It works amazingly well. It mounts to some frame points and it's super well engineered, it's super durable. Really happy with that. Some other protection items I've got an Alt-Rider headlight guard on the bike, which is essential, I think, for this bike because the headlight's really expensive. And then, of course, I've got the Barkbuster VPS hand guards. I like having Barkbusters on a big, heavy bike like this. When you drop it over, just protects your hands, protects your levers. And Barkbuster makes a kit specifically for this bike, which fits perfectly. One thing I forgot to cover when I was talking about the luggage, I'm using the Touratech luggage racks. There's a couple reasons I chose the Touratech racks. They look OEM and they kind of match with my crash bars that's in the stainless steel. I like the stainless steel because you're not going to get rust. They're fit tight to the bike. They're a little bit pricey, but you know what? I think I paid full price for them, and I'm very happy with using them. You can mount just about any kind of hard or soft luggage to those Touratech racks, so happy with that. Let's move on a little bit to the ergonomics of the bike, so the controls, foot pegs, things like that. So I'm using the stock handlebars. We mentioned the Barkbuster handguards. So down below, I have a couple things. I've got the Alt-Rider dual control brake lever, which gives you two different platforms. So when I'm sitting down, I can use that lower step of that brake lever, and when I'm standing up, it's easier for me to reach that higher step. So that's a very nice product. I really like it on this bike, and I'm happy to have it. The other thing from Alt-Rider I have the Alt-Rider foot pegs, and a few months ago, or I guess last year, they contacted me and said, hey, would you like to look at some of our foot pegs? They're a really cool design. I didn't know they even made foot pegs. They're a US-based company, really amazing, high-quality stuff. But anyway, the thing is I like about them, they're the perfect size. They're not too big like some pegs out there. They have replaceable dowel pins or screws that go in for traction. You can adjust the camber. So I don't know if camber is the right word, but you can adjust the angle. So if this is the bike here, you can adjust the foot pegs like this. And I like a tiny bit of camber going up so that I feel a little bit more supported. I think it helps with kind of steering the bike through your legs. So it has an adjustable setting there for that, which is really, really cool. Really impressed with those foot pegs, and I'll definitely be considering those on future bike builds that I do. One more thing I have in terms of comfort and ergonomics, I've got the cool covers. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if it's the cool cover or the airflow cover because they seem to be exactly the same product sold by two different companies. They claim that they're different companies. They must be, but they seem the same to me. I've used both and I forget which ones they are because I buy them for all my bikes. But anyway, it's a ventilated seat cover, airflow and cool cover. They both make them. I like it. Your butt doesn't sweat as much. You're comfortable all day. It makes the stock seat very comfortable. Also, the seat's not wet, so the water flows through it, so you never really get that wet butt if you're riding in the rain. I like it. I leave it on all year round. It's an amazing addition to the bike, and it's not too expensive. Another thing to do with the comfort sort of is you see the windshield spoiler I've got on the top. Now, if you've watched my channel for a few years or any length of time, you know I go on and on about this thing. I put it on almost all the bikes that I own, even some of the test bikes I get. So this is the medium-sized Puig spoiler. I don't recommend getting those cheap ones on Amazon. I've tried those and they just break and then you end up throwing them away and wasting the money. It's just better to buy the Puig up front and you can have it for years and years. It's a really good mechanism. It holds up. You can adjust the airflow up and down. You can aim the airflow at your helmet. You can shoot it over your head. It cleans up the buffeting. With the standard GS screen on this bike, the standard OEM screen and that, if that windshield is about 2/3 of the way up, my helmet and torso, it is in completely still, quiet air. It's amazing how well it works on this bike. So highly recommend that. You can move it between bikes. You can take it with you to your next motorcycle. Very, very good product there. In terms of my navigation, so I'm still running the Zumo XT from Garmin. I use this, I own one of these GPSs and I move it between bikes. So I buy mounts for each of my bikes. I move it around. I also have this mounted on a Moto pumps mount, which is very, very nice product. But I also have on this bike, actually I have a couple of these, they sent out their locking pin for the mount. So it's a little thing that you sandwich between the GPS and the mount. And it uses a little locking pin that screws in with a security key that they give you. And then once you put that in, someone cannot walk up to your bike and remove the GPS, but it looks really sleek, it looks really factory, not some huge metal monstrosity of a mount that you have to get. It's affordable, so ingenious little solution there by Moto Pumps. I'll link that below. I highly recommend you pick that up if you're using the Zumo XT on any of your motorcycles. A few more random things that I should bring up. I always put side stand enlargers on my bike. They just help the bike from sinking into sand or soft surfaces. They just make the bike easier to park. And this is one from SW Motec. There's a lot of good ones out there, but SW Motec is a nice proven brand. I like to use their stuff. For a phone mount, so the phone mount that I've come to use that I switch between all my bikes, so it's a quad lock phone mount with a wireless charger for the phone and the vibration isolator. So I'm using the quad lock components for that, but then I connect that to a RAM arm and a RAM base. The reason I use the RAM base components, I find they're more interchangeable. They have clamp mounts that I can switch between different bikes that I'm riding. So together, that combination is amazing. I'm doing a separate video on that if you want to check it out. I don't know when that will be published. But anyway, I'll link the stuff below. I don't have no affiliation with Quad Lock. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm sure I could get free stuff if I wanted, but I just figure I'd just buy the stuff. It's the best foam mount I've ever used. I highly recommend it. Now finally, we should talk about tires. So, you know, choosing a tire for a motorcycle like this is extremely challenging, because do you get a tire that's more of a street tire that's good on the road and lasts a long time? Or do you get more of a knobby tire that's gonna kind of ruin the road handling, make the bike loud and vibrate, but be really good in the dirt? So on this kind of bike, because I ride it mostly on the road, but some off-road, I chose the Moto's GPS. I think it's called the Tractionator GPS tire. It's, in my opinion, probably the best of the sort of 50-50 type tires that I've tried. It has really legitimate traction in the dirt, in the sand, off-road, but also on the highway, it's very smooth, quiet, it seems to last a long time, and it grips pretty well on the road. I prefer these tires to the Dunlop Trail Max Mission personally. I've tried the Trail Max Mission on my GSA. I think these are a better tire than that. They're a little better off-road, and they seem to have a little better grip on the road as well, maybe due to the rubber compound. Highly recommend checking these out. Only one slight downside I would say about the rear GPS tire. It's got that center strip that goes around the middle of the tire, or the center. They put that on there so the bike is quiet and that the tread lasts longer. However, in a straight line, you'll notice when you're braking in a straight line, whether it's on a pavement or off-road, it's a bit slippery when the bike is straight up, just because you've got that center strip. So it's not a deal breaker, but it's something that I've noticed that I wanted to clue you guys into. All right, so wrapping this up, I'm sure I've forgot some things. I'm looking at the bike here, trying to remember what else I have. There's probably some small things that I'm missing. Anyway, if you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever it is, put that down below. Let me know and I'll get back to you on that. Again, please use my links when you're shopping for anything. It really helps support independent motorcycle journalism here at Big Rock Moto. It doesn't cost you anything extra. And a huge shout out to all the companies that sponsor Big Rock Moto with discounted or complimentary parts for doing these bike builds. Truly, truly appreciate all my industry partners. Thank you very, very much. Hope this was useful. Thanks for watching. Ride safe. I'll see you out there.